Ladies and gentlemen, got two kinds of stories. Those you can take to bed with you and then there's the other kind. Now our story tonight is the other kind.
Vortex is the newest upcoming movie from Argentinian French filmmaker Gaspar Noé, and I was grateful enough to have seen an early screening of the film at Beyond Fest in Santa Monica at the Aero Theater, so very big thanks to Beyond Fest for that opportunity. Yeah, it was it was definitely a time. It was a time indeed. It was an experience. Now I literally just uploaded a review on Gaspar Noé's previous film, the one before this, Lux Æterna, which is a 50-minute, short film that he made that premiered at Cannes that has yet to be released for some reason. So I did talk about that, and I also talked a lot about Gaspar Noé himself as a filmmaker, so if you have already seen that review, then just know that I might repeat myself on a couple of things, in favor for this review, since this is like a completely different video. So yeah, here we go. But yeah, Gaspar Noé is a filmmaker who is no stranger to controversy. He's always just kind of been known as that guy who makes these really disturbing, controversial, fucked up movies, where every time he has a new movie premiering at a film festival, they always have to have like paramedics, ready in case somebody faints or passes out or gets sick during one of his movies, because apparently it's a thing that happens a lot. But what really sets apart, his films from other disturbing and controversial media, with movies such as like a Serbian film or August Underground Mortem or Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, is the fact that I feel like there's just a lot more that you can take from Gaspar Noé's movies, not only thematically but also on a technical and filmmaking standpoint. His films often feature a lot of long shots and takes, and recently he's been doing this one gimmick that we'll get to in a bit. And his movies very rarely feel like the movies, they more so feel like just really immersive experiences. And I've never been so emotionally affected by watching somebody's movies than Gaspar Noé, especially with this new movie that we're going to be talking about, because yeah, this is rough. This movie actually has quite an interesting backstory to it. Apparently Gaspar Noé, right before the pandemic hit, suffered a pretty severe brain hemorrhage and was hospitalized for 10 days, and he nearly died. But thankfully he did get a lot better, at least it seems like he's doing a lot better. And since then he's actually been sober, so apparently he doesn't drink or do drugs or any of that stuff. And as a result, as a way to just kind of encapsulate his whole near-death experience, he decided to make this new film, Vortex, which... whew. Yeah, Vortex is a rough movie. This movie is rough. This is honestly the most emotionally affected that I've been by a movie in a very long time. Vortex is quite a simple movie. It follows an old man who is played by Dario Argento, of all people, which is interesting because I just kind of talked about giallo films in my Malignant review, which I did a little while ago. But yeah, Dario Argento is a pretty prolific Italian horror filmmaker, and I believe like he doesn't really act, aside from having little cameos in his own movies, but it's just a really odd, interesting choice for this role, to have Dario Argento play this character. And then you have his wife, who is played by Françoise Lebrun. And the film just kind of follows this couple and their last days on this earth. The wife has very clearly developed dementia, and that is clearly being shown throughout the entire film, where you can see it just getting worse and worse for her, and she's slowly just beginning to lose touch with reality throughout the whole thing. And then you have Dario Argento's character, who not only has to deal with his wife's dementia and the fact that she's very slowly beginning to not remember who he is, or just where she even is, but the husband, who is also a writer, by the way, is also struggling with his own heart problems. And the whole movie is just following this couple as they struggle to, get through their last days of life on this earth. And it's it's really hard to watch. The film has a very slow and careful pace, and it's just very delicately showing you like just their entire daily routine and how their sickness is, you know, affecting their daily lives, and, you know, just having them go through that mentally and physically is just really hard to watch. I guess the best way to describe this movie is it's kind of like a mix between the film The Father that just recently came out with Anthony Hopkins and Michel Haneke's film Amour. But what makes Gaspar Noé's Vortex so different from these other kinds of movies is definitely the filmmaking style. Gaspar Noé has this new gimmick, or technique I guess you can call it, where he splits the screen in two, and on one side of the screen you're following this one character who's doing these things, and then on the other side of the screen you have this other character doing all these things, and you're basically watching these two events unfold in real time. I'm gonna pause it real quick. Be right back. And simultaneously, you get to see how both of these characters are affected by, you know, their sickness. And it's almost like the film is giving you twice the amount of material that you would get, you know, from just any ordinary movie. Because typically during a movie like this, one scene will follow this character and then the next scene will follow this character. But rather here, you have two different scenes going on at the same time. But as far as the subject matter goes, this movie is very heavy. And although it is slow and it takes its time, I never once felt bored or like I was, you know, out of the movie. Like, I was sucked into the movie since the second it started. You know, it just does a really good job, you know, because of its slow pace and because of the fact that we're watching these characters in their day-to-day lives. You know, it's so subversive in that way, and it just does a good job like absorbing the audience into what's going on the screen. Now, I watched this movie in a sold-out theater. Which I don't know if that's the ideal way to watch this movie or not. On one hand, you get to share this same experience with other people and you get to see how they react, which is cool. But then on the other hand, like, it does feel like a movie that would probably be best to watch by yourself, due to the fact that it's just such a personal movie for Gaspar Noé, and it tends to hit very close to home for a lot of people, especially if you have been through stuff like this, or you know somebody who's been through something like this. Also, a funny thing I want to mention while watching this movie is that I was sitting in the kind of the middle row, so there were people, and, you know, a good amount of people in front of me, and I'm a pretty short guy, you know, I'm quite small, I'm quite petite, so it was kind of hard for me to see the very, very bottom of the screen, and this is a foreign film, so there were subtitles, and there was this guy in front of me, his head was blocking a good portion of the subtitles in this movie, so it was kind of hard for me to know what was going on and what they were saying during certain parts. But in a weird way, this little situation I was in kind of helped me put myself into the character's shoes a little bit, because I myself kind of didn't know what was going on throughout some of this movie when they were talking, and the characters that are on screen are also having trouble just kind of keeping in touch with reality. So, you know, I could see the mindset that they were in. It was a great experience, but it was one that I don't know if I would ever want to have again. Overall, Vortex is Gaspar Noé's most personal film by far. And yeah, the fact that he had a near-death experience before filming this also helped the film a lot in regards to, you know, just being a very immersive experience that just deals with existential dread and just forces you to sit there and ponder the fact that one day that's all gonna be us. We're all gonna live to be that old, unless God forbid we die sooner, but you know, but that's just something that we're all gonna have to go through, and that's life. So yeah, the movie just kind of leaves you in a very deep, dark headspace, and if that's not the kind of headspace that you want to be in, then I don't think I would particularly recommend this movie to you. That being said, this is easily one of Gaspar Noé's best films. This is an incredible movie. It's truly an experience you'll never forget if you do end up watching it. There's nothing out there quite like it, honestly. It's so fresh and new and innovative, and yeah, I cannot praise this movie enough. There really isn't a whole lot of negative stuff I have to say about it. That being said, I think I'm going to be giving Gaspar Noé's Vortex a 10 out of 10. So now begs the question of whether or not Gaspar Noé is going to go back to his old ways of making, you know, these incredibly disturbing, controversial movies with all this gratuitous sex and violence and drugs and all the crazy things that makes your mama scared. But regardless, very different movie from him, and a very good movie from him, and I'm honestly glad he made it, and I'm really hoping that, you know, this movie gets a lot of praise. Yeah, that's really it. That's all I have to say. Vortex is a phenomenal movie. I absolutely loved it, but I don't think I'll ever watch it again, at least anytime soon. So, yeah. There you go. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming out very soon in the near future, and I will see you guys later.
Oh, I can see heaven from here. Yes. Right. I'm coming. So warm. It's like my nice one.
I'm done. That's it. I'm done. Thank you.